During the Clone Wars, Jedi Generals Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker were sent far out into the reaches of space to stop an Outer Rim Mafia gang known as the Black Talon Gang after they began producing a new type of highly effective armor for the Separatists that could flip the war in their favor. Chillingly, while fighting back against the scientist who was the mastermind behind the new armor, Anakin was trapped inside of it and experienced horrible foreshadowing of his future inside of the Darth Vader suit. So before we dive deep into this dark story, make sure you're subscribed for more awesome Star Wars lore content. The story begins inside of the cargo hold of a ship owned by the Black Talon Mafia, known as the Talon's Wing. On board the Talon's Wing, Obi-Wan and Anakin are surrounded by the mobsters, being in a very dicey situation before Obi-Wan calls out to them, telling the gangsters that the Jedi Code demands that he must give them one more chance, before asking if they are going to come quietly. The mobsters are absolutely infuriated by this, telling Obi-Wan that he has some guts to come onto their ship and demand that they come with the Jedi, before telling the two that nobody has ever survived an attempt to take out the Black Talon gang. Anakin, however, fires back, telling the leader, "We don't have to take your whole gang, Shaw and Dak. We only have to get you." The mob boss is completely unfazed by this, continuing to enjoy his smoke, before ordering his men to finish the two Jedi off and open fire on them. Obi-Wan and Anakin are then whipped around on their feet in an absolute frenzy, deflecting blaster fire from every direction, before eventually directing one of the bolts into the lights above. This leaves all of the gangsters completely blinded in the darkness, but Anakin and Obi-Wan have no trouble taking them all out, since they have the Force to guide them in the darkness. And if you've seen the other comic I covered where Anakin was still a very new Padawan and didn't know how to use the Force to guide him in the darkness, this is a very nice connection to that and shows just how far he has progressed as a Jedi throughout the war. As Anakin and Obi-Wan swing their bright lightsabers in the pitch black room, they eventually manage to knock out every single one of the criminals, leaving them helpless on the floor. Anakin then restores the lights before asking his master what's next in the plan. Obi-Wan then tells him that they will place the gangsters into an escape pod and jettison them out of the ship where Commander Cody can pick them up. Anakin is relieved and asks if the mission will be over after that, but Obi-Wan has other plans. He then tells Anakin that the mob boss and his gang were about to meet a rogue scientist who was developing some new weapons and armor for the Separatists. And just as he says this, a massive smile washes over his face as he places on a very classy suit before asking Anakin, "This suit is quite flattering, don't you think?" Anakin is confused and slightly worried about Obi-Wan's new plan, but his master immediately hands him a new outfit, which leads him to believe that he will get to play the part of the Mafia leader. Obi-Wan, however, tells him that he's not going to be the leader, and instead Obi-Wan's bodyguard for the event. Anakin is angry that he has to play the bodyguard again, since he had to play the same role last time, and I'd love to know what this story is about. Obi-Wan then tries to argue with Anakin, saying that he wasn't a very good bodyguard last time, and Anakin has no choice but to play along, as they are very quickly coming up to the scientist's base. Before they enter, Obi-Wan has to remind Anakin one final time to stay in character. Following this, the two Jedi enter and are very quickly greeted by the mad scientist. The scientist immediately introduces his very weird and strange blue-painted droids to Obi-Wan and Anakin, which creeps the two of them out very deeply. They can't quite figure out why these creatures are giving them a horrible feeling, but before they can discuss it any further, they are very quickly interrupted by the crazed scientist. The scientist tells Obi-Wan, "After all our correspondence, it's an honor to finally meet you, Shaw and Dak, though you'll forgive me if I remain protected until we have each other's trust." The red-haired scientist then leaps out of the shadows and introduces himself as Dr. Blaine. Obi-Wan, however, still pretending to be Shaw and Dak, cautions the mad scientist, asking him to reveal exactly what he wants to sell them. The doctor then responds by saying that he wants to sell his droids. They are far superior in weaponry to standard B1 battle droids, are far cheaper, and have much better armor. Obi-Wan, however, tells him that his talk is not worth the air required to project it, demanding to see more proof that these droids can actually do what he says. Dr. Blaine then compliments Obi-Wan for being such a practical businessman, before ordering his droids to dispose of Anakin's body to prove that they are effective. When Anakin hears this, he simply says, what? Before frantically calling out to his master, pleading with the droids to stop. His master immediately demands that the crazy scientist stop the droids from attacking Anakin, but the scientist refuses and wants to show off just how much value they have. Obi-Wan is really trying to stay in character, telling the scientist that good help is so hard to find before warning him again to stop his droids, but he just won't do it. This unfortunately causes Obi-Wan to break character and ignite his lightsaber, delivering one final threat to Dr. Blaine. As the maniacal Blaine sees Kenobi's lightsaber, he begins chuckling and says, "Jedi, are you? My suspicions were warranted then." Dr. Blaine cleverly knew that if he threatened Obi-Wan's friend, he would be forced to reveal his identity to save him. Following this, Obi-Wan brutally slices through one of the blue droids, but as he does it, he recoils in immense pain, and his mind is jabbed sharply in the Force. Anakin calls out to Obi-Wan, wondering what's wrong. Obi-Wan then tells Anakin that the droid somehow felt pain. This then leads to the dark and shocking realization that these are no droids. These are humans inside of the blue metal armor. The crazy and disgraceful Doctor then chimes into the conversation, saying, "Very perceptive, Master Jedi. The humans serve as living bio-batteries for the droid bodies, basically meaning that the humans inside are slaves to the droid control systems." Dr. Blaine then asks the two Jedi how they think they are going to stop the droids without killing the humans inside. Anakin admits that he does have a point, but Obi-Wan warns his apprentice to take a deep breath and cover him. Obi-Wan says he's going to use the Force to push back all of the air in the chamber. Surprisingly, this actually works and renders all of the human droids unconscious temporarily. Dr. Blaine is absolutely shocked at this, demanding to know what Obi-Wan has done to his precious creations. The two very soon understand that the blue armor is actually a liquid metal which attaches to biological material. And as they begin to inspect it, Anakin gets far too close and it begins to consume his body. Obi-Wan begs Anakin to fight off the metal, but it is far too late. Anakin has been consumed by the armor, and his mind is now controlled by the Doctor. The Master and Apprentice then enter a ferocious battle together, where Obi-Wan does have the high ground. The two continue swinging their lightsabers at each other in a very heated showdown, and very unfortunately foreshadowing the events on Mustafar that will take place not long after. Following this, Anakin is about to slice his master in half with his lightsaber, forcing Obi-Wan to use a horrifically strong force push on him, making the Doctor believe that Obi-Wan has killed his apprentice. Obi-Wan then leans over Anakin in pain to further make the Doctor believe that he is dead, even screaming out that he is sorry for using the Force ability known as Force Death Blow, obviously a fake ability. Thankfully, Obi-Wan is able to remove the liquid metal from Anakin and force push it onto the mad scientist. Obi-Wan angrily exclaims, "If you value this liquid metal of yours so much, you may wear it, with compliments of the Force." Obi-Wan then smiles as Dr. Blaine is now mindless and serves at the will of the person who placed the liquid armor on him, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan orders Blaine to remain immobile, giving him time to help Anakin up and tell him what happened. Obi-Wan tells his apprentice that he used the real Force ability known as Force Trance on him in order to conserve his oxygen and vital functions, and laughs at how he was able to trick the scientist into believing Force Death Blow was a real ability. Finally, Anakin begins shivering and walks into a dark corner by himself, where Obi-Wan asks him, "Are you sure you're alright?" Heartbreakingly, Anakin then responds by saying, "Being trapped in a metal suit was the worst experience I could imagine, Master. I hope I never have to go through anything like that ever again." As he says this, his body casts a cold shadow on the wall in the shape of his future as Darth Vader. Unfortunately, he will be trapped in a metal suit once again, and when he does, it will be permanent. Thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.